Episode 4, Season 1 of FutureSounds FM with me, Enzo, and my usual co-hosts, the ever-talented, ever-present Patrick Fakeman and Thom. But we've also got another co-host, Jay, my brother, one half of Donor Lens. He's the shy one. He rarely appears on mic these days, so it's quite a privilege to have him.
He doesn't sound very shy today.
Well,
thank you.
No, have you had a beer, mate? Is that what it is?
I've had a couple of beers, so I'm feeling a bit like more confident than usual. So excited.
I was very happy to see you when I turned on my my computer. So good evening to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I spent all day with you, mate.
So thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm sick of the sight of your face. I might, in fact, can you turn yourself off camera, please, mate? No, only joking. Okay. It's good to have you with us. It's good to be back for another episode. Doing something a little bit different this time. Rather than getting an interview with a special guest, we're going to be hearing from some of the artists and punters who were at our recent event, FutureSounds, in North London, Tottenham, to be precise, at the Post Bar. It was the first, I want to say, it was the first major synth or vaporwave event since the pandemic. So it's kind of felt like a getting together within the UK, at least, of a scene. And I think everyone had a really good time. And it feels special. It was our first event, and we obviously all were involved in different ways. So what better way to kind of relive it and give people who weren't able to come along a bit of an insight into how it went. So yeah, I don't know if anyone wants to kick me on with that. How have you been? Have you all recovered? I was pretty knackered, all told.
Yeah, no, I've not recovered. I was absolutely exhausted.
But you went to another event like pretty soon after. Like I was dead for a few days afterwards, and the idea of going out again was just off the cards for me.
Yeah, I did push it slightly, but to answer your question, Enzo, no, I had a really good time. Really enjoyed it. It was, as we would all expect, it was hard work, like you say, for all of us in different ways. But ultimately, I was really happy with the end result. I've got memories of us walking down a street back to the hotel, and the three of us being quite happy at the time. So that's.
I think we needed to, because that was the thing. At the end of what was a long day, we can go into. We'll kind of go through the day. I think it'd be quite fun to do that anyway. But we pretty much must have started at not much before 10 a.m. Not much after that, at least, rather. And for us to come out of the club at 3 a.m, wandering back to the hotel, it was quite nice to just take it all in and think that's several months' work and an intense day. And it feels good. Thom, what did you make of it?
Yeah, it was hard to process at the time. I sort of felt like I was at a wedding or my birthday party or something. It's quite surreal seeing all your friends at the same time. It's just like a sort of a collection of people, like random people whose only kind of connection to each other is this music. It's sort of surreal. Like people in real life well, and then people who you only recognize from their avatars, coming together. Very, very strange. But yeah, the day kind of went by. Yeah, the closest comparison I have is sort of my wedding day, which I think my wife won't thank me for. But it's just surreal seeing everyone under one roof.
Well, Flick was at both.
she was at both. Yeah.
In fairness. Which one did she enjoy more? You can ask her, perhaps.
No comment.
Maybe not. Anyway, other than that, anyone been up to anything interesting? I mean, what have you been listening to? I like to start with this.
Are you going first? Go on then.
Well, I can do.
Oh, sorry.
I wasn't going to be so rude.
You were going first.
Just to jump in. Perhaps let's throw my brother under a bus. Jay, what have you been listening to, mate? You've been on the podcast before. I don't think you've come prepped, have you?
No, but I do know you like to ask this question. I do listen.
That's good to know.
I have been. It's funny. Like, it's such a simple question, but as soon as someone asks you and you're like got a microphone in front of you and you're recording, you're suddenly like, what is music? Like, what? I am going to. You just. Do you want a track or an album?
Well, I mean, we'll play a track. We're not going to play the whole album, mate. That's going to make the podcast a bit too long, I think.
Okay. Well, I mean, you should listen to this whole album because it's really good. I'm going to pick. The album is Screen Time, and it's by N-Rail. The track I'm gonna say everyone should fucking listen to right now is Prison Break, and that's from Screen Time by N-Rail. Banger, absolute banger. The glitchy dubstep vibes. It's good, man. It's good. The whole album is absolutely wild. So
it's out on Pad Chennington's label, isn't it?
There we go. Yeah, Catskill Records. There we go. That's my one.
I've just clocked Prison Break's a good pun as well. I've only just clocked that.
Yeah.
I made almost the same pun on the first Witcher to LimeWire album called a track They Tried to Build a Prism, which is the System of a Down kind of plunder.
Yeah, man.
Haven't you nearly finished your second album?
Yeah, that's what I've been working on recently, actually. I'd say it's 99% there. Just putting in some sort of gunshot samples today, and I think that's probably the sign that it's basically done. Yeah, from Paper Planes, MIA. So yeah.
Oh yeah, which was in itself.
All I wanna do is.
They sampled the Clash. Straight to Hell.
Yeah.
That's an absolute tune as well.
But yeah, I think it's probably done. If I carry on doing any more of that, it's going to be unlistenable. So yeah, I might need to step away from it.
Well, speaking of gunshots, it does segue me nicely, because I saw, I happened to see on Twitter, I sent you the link earlier on, there's a documentary coming out about KLF, which is a band I haven't really listened to since I was a lot younger. It's probably late 80s, early 90s. They pioneered the kind of stadium house sound, became the world's biggest selling singles band, and they had a mad show at the Brits. I'm not sure if anyone's ever seen the footage, where they basically fired a machine gun full of blanks into the crowd and pretty much pronounced themselves finished on that day. They'd just become like pretty much the biggest selling singles band in the world. They were huge. They were on fire. They could have gone anywhere they wanted, and they just decided to destroy it all themselves. They like deleted their entire catalogue, burned £1 million. This is real as well. They burnt £1 million of their own money in some crazy art installation. I mean, like, that's got to be one of the most interesting stories in music, right? So I think the documentaries, I'm almost as excited to see this as I will be to see Nobody Here when we finally get it finished. But like, yeah, that's like perhaps an overhype. But if I was going to pick a tune, I mean, there's loads of tunes. They've done some absolute bangers. I was listening back through quite a few of them on my way home today. Probably 3 AM Eternal. That's the track that kind of broke them internationally. But yeah, the film's out to stream now, I think. I think I saw it's out to download. It's called Who Killed KLF? And it's directed by Chris Atkins. So I'm going to check it out this week. I suggest anyone listening gives it a go as well. And definitely give KLF a listen to. It's like proper acid house, breakbeat sample fusion from the late 80s, early 90s.
I think their catalogue's recently undeleted, isn't it? It's just kind of hit streaming services very recently.
Say, like, when you're saying about burning £1 million, I thought you meant they literally destroyed the. Do you know what I mean? They destroyed the songs as well.
Oh no, I don't know about that.
The master CDs or anything.
Well, evidently they didn't. Yeah. They must have kept some kind of copies of it. But it's taken them years. They haven't even talked about the story. This is the most interesting thing about it. People have tried to piece together why they just disappeared from the face of the earth, like as a musical entity, and they finally pulled the story together. And yeah, that's why it's so interesting, I think. There's so much speculation around that. Cool.
I'm gonna kick this hard.
Anyway, Tom, what have you been listening to, mate?
I have been listening to like a fun kind of dance kind of jam band tune by a group called Pablo, which I think means like my God or by Jove in French. And it's a bunch of crazy Italian guys, even though the band name's French, and the song and the album name is called Dans cette zik, which I think is like in the music, like zik is slang for music, kind of funny French slang. And the reason why I've been listening to this is I play in a kind of psychedelic jam band called Hebraxis, and the drummer came across this record and was like, these crazy Italian guys just sound exactly like us. And they kind of do, but better. And there's lots of fun stuff like disco toms, and it's just like a fun party record. So yeah, I'd really recommend it. It came out in 2020 on some Italo disco label called Periodica Records. It's really good fun. So Pablo Dans cette zik.
Nice, and props for the pronunciation as well. Oh yeah. Can we throw in an extra? I'm being cheeky.
Again.
I want to throw in. This
You're
is
always
actually
doing this.
Yeah, I know. But all right. In fairness to you, you sent this to me. I sent this to my brother. So we can all take credit for this. Massive shout to Business Casual and to DJ Sugar C, who is Chaz from SPF 420. Is that right? SPF 420, is that what you said? I had a brain fart then. That's a bad name to get wrong. Chaz, anyway. Vapor Money, which I got to say is one of the best Vaporwave albums I've heard in quite some time. There's loads of standout tracks. The whole album's fun. Like, there's definitely elements of taking the piss in this, but it's brilliant. The track, I think there's loads of standout tracks, but if I'm going to funnel in on one, it'd have to be Money for Nothing, the Dire Straits rap, which is even better.
DJ Sugar C.
They give me money for nothing. All I give them is MP3s. Shout out to the fans, yeah, they're my little NPCs. They're one of a kind, like really rare NFTs. They're money for nothing. I get their money for nothing. I'm eating pasta with truffles, trying to keep on my energy. I had some kerfuffles, yeah, collecting new enemies. Why'd you burn bridges? Why do ruffles have bridges? Why do I really like Wagyu sandwiches? Ay, milk bread, that's a sando. Thick bread, that's a band. Huh?
You pointed this out the other day, Tom. It kind of proves that the new Bandcamp policy of no covers is already holding up well.
Yeah. I'm just looking at the track listing. Track 13 sounds quite interesting. SpongeBob Suck My Dick.
Yeah, it's real mature stuff.
SpongeBob sucked my dick in the cooler of the crusty
There's
crack.
a pretty vitriolic track about illuminated paths on there as well, which will definitely go down well in the vapor sphere.
This one looks amazing. I'll play this when we get off the.
Honestly,
off
it's really good. Like I said, I think he's taking the piss to some degree, but it's fucking.
Well, it was an
great.
April Fool's release, wasn't
Absolutely loved it. Yeah, exactly. Like our 9 minutes 6 seconds vinyl, which sold out in 5 minutes, but never actually existed.
I think some people
But a
wanted
lot of people
it,
asking for a repress. No, we have actually. Some people were quite pissed off that we put it out at 8 a.m. UK time.
On April Fool's Day.
Yeah, I think the problem was I didn't think about it enough. Was that it was a joke last time, but we actually did the tapes, so people probably thought that they would be vinyl. But at least I didn't put them on sale. It was just a photo that was created. Maybe we'll do it next year.
Do you reckon you could find a plant who would cut a completely blank record for you?
They'll do anything that you pay them to do, I would have thought. And then the other way to do it would be lathe, which would be quite fun, because I think they've got a little bit more surface noise anyway, so you'd actually be getting, quite unique sound in and of that process itself.
Be getting more sound.
There was a time when they were trying to get that to Christmas #1, wasn't it? It was like in the sort of
433, the original.
Yeah, there were like a bunch.
Really?
They got a bunch of sort of I don't know, XFM friendly acts to record cover versions of it, and I think they were trying to get it to Christmas #1. It was like the kind of heady days of anti-X Factor. It was like big backlash against the X Factor because they had Christmas #1 sewn up.
Didn't Rage Against the Machine?
Yeah, so that was
the first
successful.
one.
Yeah,
that was actually successful, wasn't it? Yeah. So I remember with my ex, I was there at Christmas, and I remember being like, I love that tune, obviously, and I liked the principle behind it. And I remember having a kind of argument with, not my mother-in-law, but like ex's parents who I was staying with, who thought it was mean to stop. I think it was someone, Joe something, to stop him from getting his Christmas #1. It was quite mean.
That little Irish boy.
It was mean-spirited.
I forget his name now.
That's my own.
Well, nowadays it's not got any much. It hasn't got any better. I think the last 3 years we've had Christmas #1s about sausage rolls.
Have we?
Yeah.
Passes me by. I don't even know what
Lad Baby they're called. Yeah.
Lad Baby. He was big on, I want to say, Vine or Facebook or something. Had nothing to do anymore. Wasn't very relevant. So now just does sausage roll based.
Yeah, but
Christmas
featuring
#1s for
Ed
charity.
Sheeran and Elton John, right? Yeah.
He did get Ed Sheeran and Elton John.
Can't
Yeah,
know
he
that.
did.
Can't know that.
Do you boys haven't asked me about whether
Enzo just picked two.
Is that your track?
No.
Martin, was that your
it
track? The sausage roll Christmas #1?
Oh yeah, we can go with that if you want.
No, it can be, but it's kind of, what is it, April now? So we need like
Maybe
an
we'll
Easter
play the
sausage
episode
roll
out with it.
one.
I don't know. Probably not, but I could pretend that we will. What are you going to pick, Martin? I'm sorry, I did jump in and have my second pick. I got a third one if you want.
No, that's fine. That's fine. This will be my last appearance, by the way. No, this week I picked. Well, this time round, you guys might know of him as a band that's fronted by a young Texan called Yarte.
Oh yes.
Who released a track this week with Beckett called Fred the Star. So I don't think it's actually on. You can't buy it. I think it's just on streaming services. But the two of them have come together. It's definitely quite city poppy. I agree with him because I had a brief conversation with him about it during the week. It's got, if you think a little bit about Phil Bailey, the sort of Chinese Wall album, that kind of nice Earth, Wind and Fire kind of feel about it as well. It's really, really smooth, really nice. So I would definitely recommend that people go and check that track out.
Awesome.
I was about to say that their artwork's always on point.
At it right now.
I would like to.
Is it like?
Go on, Jay.
Is it like AI generated artwork?
I'm not sure if that one is.
It kind of looks like it is, man.
It might. Well, maybe.
Forever Star, right?
Forever Star. Yeah.
He's someone I'd like to get
I
on
think it is.
one day. I think he's got such an interesting style. He's a really talented guy. Obviously, we've worked with him through TimeSlave before, but I think he'd be really interesting. And I'd love one day to get him over for a show. You've said about this before, Martin.
Yeah, I think it'd be a great idea. I first met him when I used to. I stepped in for an unwell Rob Dyson on the Feather Synth radio show back in lockdown, and it just happened to be a Yarte episode. That's kind of where my quote-unquote love affair with him
Jay, that
started.
definitely looks like AI art. I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, like one of those machine learning
right?
scripts.
Yeah.
But with like nice
really cool.
typography.
Really nice one. I love the colours, sort of like. Yeah, and like really nice, like a deep blue and gold. It's cool. Reminds me, the color scheme reminds me of my favorite Spurs shirt, the dark blue and gold.
Oh
one.
yeah. Was that the last of the what was the brand?
2018, I think.
Yeah, but what was the kit maker?
Under Armour.
I think it's Nike.
No, it's Under Armour, isn't it?
Oh,
yeah, it's the last of the Under Armour ones. This is quite niche.
This is a fascinating.
Yeah,
it's okay because it segues to the location of the gig.
It does.
It does. See, that's why I said it. That's why I said it.
You're just trying to turn this into a football podcast, as if there aren't enough of those already.
Yeah, I think we'd be fighting in a congested market. Did any of you guys see Lucid's recent tweets? I thought they were interesting. He likes to pronounce the scene dead quite regularly, but I thought he had quite a hot take about dream punk, which was his own creation because he hated Vaporwave. I don't want to give any hot takes here. There's no point in starting a podcast war or anything like that. But yeah, is he the Piers Morgan of the Vaporwave scene?
I'm not going to go down this route, but it is interesting to see him distancing himself from a scene very closely associated with him and putting all his eggs back in this flap basket, which, you know, I'm not sure. You know, people obviously went along with his Vaporwave and his dream punk. I'm not sure flap is the thing that is going to catch on in quite the same way, but that's probably perversely why he enjoys it.
Possibly. I mean, dream punk. Is that still? Do you feel like I feel like that's still a saturated market? There's a lot of artists making it. Maybe that's part of the problem. I'm not sure, but I was always a fan of that, and I find the flap stuff's interesting conceptually speaking. I think a lot of what he does is really interesting conceptually, and I'm only being a bit facetious, kind of taking the piss. But I think, you know, his persona online is very much he likes to create a debate. So, you know, I'm taking it the way I think it's intended.
Well, it's working because
he does provoke interesting conversations. Exactly that. Anyway, cool. Back to Tottenham and FutureSounds. I just throw that little hand grenade in there.
We were doing so well.
I just wanted to see everyone's faces. Let's go back a tiny bit further than that. It was super zen. Like, I woke up at like 9:30, whatever it was. Like, we had plenty of time. We watched a bit of the South Park film after COVID. We were chilling, basically. then we went and met at the Antwerp Arms, and it was like a beautiful sunny day. If anyone's in that part of the world, I do recommend the Antwerp Arms. It's got like a beautiful leafy park opposite. It's got it just was a nice pub. There was quite a lot happening. I think there was a rugby match on or something at the Tottenham Stadium, and it was just a nice way to start a day. And we felt like we'd had everything prepped, and what could possibly go wrong. And then you boys, Thom and Jay, headed back to get the kit that you needed for your sets, and then like, I guess that's where the shit started hitting the fan, was the traffic. You guys, it took you ages to get back. And I got to the venue. I'm the least technical of the four of us. And I had Josh come up and go, Josh from Iverson, come up and go, we got a bit of an issue, lads. It's kind of terminal.
Well, those his words.
We won't be able to play.
I'm
literally how he said it's kind of terminal, as in we won't be able to play, and I don't think anyone else will either. And what it turned out to be something I'd never heard of before, DI boxes. They only had 2, which I'm told is obscene for a music venue.
It is obscene. I think, to be fair to Post Bar, so that was the location where we were, they're used to ensembles with like loads of horns, loads of percussion, loads of acoustic instruments. And I think when the like quite lovely but quite flustered sound engineers saw us all rolling in with our synths and electronics and stuff, I think probably realized like this was going to be a tough day. We've got an audio clip from Johnny from Iverson, which sort of details some of these tech struggles in quite an entertaining way. So we might play that now.
Hello, Johnny Royal here, aka Core Data, aka that other bloke from Iverson, the one without the glasses. I'm currently on a nice country stroll down the River Lee, speaking about that gig, that wonderful gig. Very, very enjoyable evening. What people who attended the gig probably won't know is that before we kicked it all off, it was Stress City. Fucking hell, yeah. So the sound guy, bless him, just fresh out of college, was struggling a bit. And they only had 2 DI boxes, which for people who don't understand what DI boxes are, they are important. So they only had 2. Technically we needed 8, but we only had 2. So we were panicking for a bit. But then Mr. Enzo came up with a good idea and said, go to the recording studio that we were at last night and see if they've got any. So I rang them up. Turns out they had 2. Well, they had one that worked and one that they didn't think did work, but they said take it anyway. So Josh and I ran literally ran to the train station, jumped on the train, got to the recording studio, picked them up, came back, set it up, all hunky-dory, and the rest, as they say, is l'histoire.
I think that sums it up very well.
And I think Johnny summed up the energy like that suddenly had to appear from nowhere, because I was trying to get hold of you guys to explain to me what a DI box was at that point. I think I remember. Turned out we'd been doing the rehearsals the night before in Leytonstone. Is that where it is? Leytonstone? And they saved the day. Like literally, they
audio underground.
Boji, is that his name? Yeah, he saved the day. Basically, they jumped on the train and went and got the boxes we needed, and we were kind of back up and running. But what it did mean, which is how you kind of started this off, Martin, was where's the best laid plans had seen us starting at 5 with you and me playing a City Pop set. That got kiboshed. And we kind of just saw the time just delay whilst we got the sound stuff ready. But in the end, luckily, you know, as often happens with events like this, we didn't have a flood of everyone arriving at the start. We had kind of...
No, it was a smooth, gentle drip, wasn't it, I think? And so we were... I think for those that were there early, they had a bit of a preview of the bands that were going to come on, because there were a couple of people still playing on. But ultimately, and I know, and I think everyone who's probably listening to this as organised event will say, this is nothing new, lads. This kind of stress happens all the time, so welcome. But we got there in the end, I think. But the main thing for me is that, for a couple of hours, it was squeaky bum time, wasn't it? But other than that...
on the subject of squeaky bum time, apparently Alex Ferguson never said that. It's like an urban legend. I think it's like a mistranscription. Oh, really? I think he said squeeze your bum time or something like that, which maybe is weirder. I don't know. But he
or like clench your arse cheeks.
Yeah. I think that's what he said, and I think it was like a mistranscription of one of the journalists writing really quickly, and it's just been propagated.
It's like
he's got quite a strong Scottish dialect, so I can see how their shorthand might have,
it's like an egg-corn, isn't it? Like a misheard phrase.
Yeah. I was going to say it's like those things where it's like, Luke, I am your father. And he actually says, no, I am your father. That kind of thing. But
that's propagated by Family Guy and everything else thereafter, isn't it? And it becomes... Yeah. It's actually probably a better version of...
Or was it Mandela effect? Like things that people remember which never happened, right?
Yeah.
Squeaky bum time is actually is a better phrase.
That's why it's called Thom.
I kind of summed up how I felt, that's for sure. But
squeaky bum.
I was looking at you, mate, and me and you have never, probably, I don't want to speak for you, but maybe played a couple of DJ sets and stuff. Like, I used to do a lot of radio, but I never played that many gigs back in the day that were like this, and it's certainly been a long, long time. But I was looking at you, and we were both just like, well, I'm quite happy at this point. I've had to have a few beers to settle my nerves. I'm quite happy to sacrifice my set at this point. I just want the first track to start.
Yeah, we'll figure out. I just remember thinking, I'll feel better just as soon as... And then, as soon as Strawberry did start playing, I'm sure we'll get on to that in a minute, that everything just settled straight in, and everyone was super happy. Everyone was happy.
It was really warm.
Everyone was getting drunk.
It was warm, and it was
really warm. Exactly.
I don't want to sound hypercritical. Again, like Thom said, this is a nice venue. They're really nice people. The sound technician guy did his best. It was great of Adam to jump in and help out and get everything resolved. But I think that kid probably learnt more on that day than he might learn in a month or two at college, to be fair, because he was thrown right in the deep end, and he did a decent job in the end, and it was great.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with the sound.
I think it hit him because I'd walk down. After we started, I'd walk down to the green room, and he was down there having one of our beers, just looking super stressed. So I think he'd earned his wages in like 2 hours.
Mate,
that
definitely,
for sure.
Yeah. And then Strawberry Station, he kicked us off, and then that was it. We were underway.
I'm Strawberry Station, and you're listening to FutureSounds FM.
Man, I love playing at FutureSounds. Thank you so much for having me along. It was cool to see people from kind of adjacent but different scenes coming together. So Synthwave, Vaporwave, Future Funk, all in one room. It was nice to have people from far afield, like Runners Club coming all the way from Sweden. That guy, I forget his name now, coming all the way from Italy. Gabrielle, his name was Gabrielle. To see the show, and it was just an amazing time. I think we're all been so ready to get back behind the decks or up on a live stage after the pandemic. One or two of us have been lucky enough to do that, but this was the first show that kind of felt real for me in that respect. So, yeah, thank you guys for putting it on, and it's been a pleasure to be part of it. Peace.
I just walked in at a crazy part of that conversation.
Oh, man, I'm recording. You're recording as well.
Oh, shit. Yeah, I am actually. I just realised.
Put that all in.
You want to hear what I was singing while I was waiting for the meeting to load up?
Put it in the uncut. No.
We've actually got a clip from Snowdream as well. So at the gig, there was like a contingent of future funkers. I'd say 2 of whom were playing, and 2 of whom are artists in their own right, but who weren't playing this time. So that was Mr. Wax and Snowdream. We've got a clip from Snowdream, which is, just like a really nice kind of overview of the event. I think like with the quite salient point that I think having Future Funk act so early in the evening was like perhaps a bit of a shame. Like obviously it makes sense getting the party started and stuff, but like, even with the late running, Strawberry Station was still playing at whatever, 6:30 or 7 or something, when really his set might be better suited to kind of a late night thing once the dance floor's a bit more warmed up. I think is sort of fair criticism.
Future Sounds, what an event. I mean, I think in general it was so fun. Everyone had a great time. There's probably about 100-ish people at the event, and everyone was just having the best time. It was such a good mix as well. So you had elements of like the Synthwave and Future Funk and Vaporwave. That was all coming together with the performances, and it was also a good mix in the sense that it was live performances as well as DJ sets, and I think everyone was absolutely vibing with it, just having a great time. It was really interesting to see just in general the sort of mix of performances, especially from artists when you go from like Runners Club and Donor Lens to like New Arcades and like Iverson, and everyone like completely smashed it. The performances were so good. If I had one small little critique, I would maybe just say that I think that the Future Funk set should have been a bit later in the evening because the music's so party centric. It would have been nicer to hear that once everyone settled in, had a few drinks and kind of were ready to kind of move on to the dance floor. But otherwise, I mean, everyone had such a great time. And I think most importantly, just getting people from these scenes and these niches together to just enjoy like a great event like this, it's so good. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to hopefully having more shows and being part of more shows like this in the UK, because it's just like, it's so great to see everyone there and have a great time and listen to some great music. So yeah, top stuff.
Yeah, I think it is a fair point. We kind of, I guess we're trying to have the stage acts be on towards the end of the evening, but with hindsight, actually, it would work a lot better to have a gap in between where there's a slightly easier setup, just from a practical point of view as well. So I think we learnt a few things from that as well.
Yeah.
But no, I think you're right. I think you're entirely right. And having someone like that or Melanade at the end of the night to kind of keep the dance floor like firing, it was certainly something we consider doing next time. I think it was just, it was kind of suck it and see. We kind of pulled together the running order, and then we kind of made a few changes as we were getting closer to it. But I think that's all fair points. And I know that from we all went to the, or three of us went to the Groove Horizons event, and that was banging all night, and it absolutely held the crowd. And I think that
was the kind of the opposite, wasn't it? Because everyone was a DJ with the exception of
Tokyo
Wanderer. Yeah, one live act. So yeah, I mean, I think like the DJs, early DJs, unfortunately in this instance, like they were, keeping their role was slightly kind of keeping the crowd going in between the live acts, with these kind of earlier slots. But they did that really well, and I'm sure there'll be future events organised by us or by other people or by themselves where DJs can take centre stage. So I think they were quite selfless. And I think their sort of track selection was ideal for that purpose. Just kind of keeping the energy 100%. Going, just smoothed everything along.
But I mean, they were there because we wanted to the whole point of this is to encapsulate these multi-genres that fit together so nicely. It very clearly can be one scene, I think, in the way that I've talked about this loads of times before on different podcasts about how jungle and hardcore and all the different rave subgenres used to coexist for quite a long time. The whole house scene was massive, and you'd go to events that had all different types until it got too fragmented and people refused to listen to certain aspects of it. And for now, I think that we've got an opportunity to pull those things back together, because you could tell that everyone was there. There were people who were there for the Future Funk stuff, there were people who were there for the Vaporwave, there were people who were there for the Synthwave. But I think that it seemed to be that everyone was very receptive to all of it, and every one of those strands plays a big part, I think, going forward.
Yeah, I think on that note, I think certainly all the live acts and arguably with the DJs as well, like the live acts are kind of associated with a genre, but like there's a strong kind of push, not resisting the kind of the boundaries of those genre conventions, but for example, Iverson, but it started out as a very conventional synthwave act and are kind of really pushing to cross over into other genres and stuff, and just kind of make it as an indie pop band or a synth pop band. And I think the same true of Donor Lens.
Yeah.
New Arcades, like the fact that they're a vocal group, exclusive. They played an all vocal set. That's kind of pushing against some synthwave conventions. Runners Club,
they also see themselves as quite synth poppy in many ways.
Yeah, Runners Club, are far from a conventional vaporwave act. So
definitely.
I think all of these genres anyway. They all have one thing that links them all together, which is they're all it's a retro based genre. So they're going to be able to live in the same world.
Yeah.
I think, and there's no reason why you can't have them all at the same time.
It's interesting because they're all looking back to a kind of similar period, like mid 80s onwards into early 90s, perhaps. Like not exclusively. There's certainly acts that go further than that, but that kind of little period in music history, and all the cultural references they lean upon, they coexist. They coexist beautifully, and I think that's part of the story that we're going to be telling in the film as well. But yeah,
I think it was good because I'd met a guy at the event who was then also at another event that I was at this weekend just gone, and he came up to me and had a bit of a chat and said that he'd found that he wasn't aware. He's a big synthwave guy, and he wasn't aware of a lot of the sort of vapor acts that we had on, or any of the future funk ones. And he just said he had the best night and he really enjoyed it, and then had spent the rest of the week listening to those acts and kind of streaming their work, because through what we'd done, he discovered some new music, which essentially is what this is all about, really. Is sort of sharing music with people and expanding people's horizons a bit more, which I think, and so that I was really happy with that comment, because I thought, well, that was ultimately the idea of what we were trying to do.
Exactly.
How about I read out? So we got some feedback from one of the attendees who's an artist as well, called Polyglot. He sent us a big recap, but just the first kind of chunk of his recap really kind of addresses how he kind of perceives there to be, an existing kind of split between synthwave people, vaporwave people, and arguably future funk people as well. And, just details how he thinks that our event, made a genuine attempt to kind of bridge that. So I'll just read what he says, because it's interesting. He says, in my mind, there has been a division between the worlds of vaporwave and synthwave. Maybe the synthwave crowd sees vaporwave as basic music made by inexperienced kids who can't produce, and maybe the vaporwave crowd sees synthwave as music with little stylistic variation and experimentation. FutureSounds sought to tear down this wall and brought us all more together. This is mainly due to Enzo's equal appreciation for the music that ends up on TimeSlave and the music that ends up on MPF. Recently, it seems more people from the synthwave scene, such as Patrick Fakeman and Rob from Forever Synth, are opening up to the works of Luxury Elite and Waterfront Dining. Whenever these people show off their vaporwave tapes, I can't help but feel a sense of pride inside. So I think Polyglot is somebody that straddled the synthwave and vaporwave world for a very long time, like before some of us.
Yeah.
It was a real treat to meet him, and it's really nice to have his kind of detailed feedback as well.
Yeah, that's massive appreciation, in fairness. We bumped into him. He was staying in the same hotel as us. So I think it was me, Jay, Martin. You didn't make breakfast that morning, did you?
I was in bed.
Yeah. So it was Maria and Carl from Runners Club, and myself and Jay went down for breakfast, and we saw him there, and he joined us, and he's a really, really nice chap. Really is.
How were the energy levels?
Yeah, nice, man.
I feel like he might have been less hungover than you.
I think he might have been, and I think, in fairness, in the morning I can be quite almost like puppy dog energy.
Okay.
Full of beans, and then I crash later in the afternoon. But the worst thing about that day was, or the day after the event, was my brother made me drive home, and the struggle was real. So, but no, the breakfast was good, and yeah, he wasn't the only guy that I met for the first time in person, but who'd come from a long way away, like we had, because we don't live in London anymore.
Yeah,
it was amazing. I bumped into a couple from Cologne. Be lovely to hear what they thought, because it seemed like they were having a great time. There was a guy from Italy who'd come all the way over.
I'm meeting him in Rome in 2 weeks' time.
There you go.
Because he's from
What's he
Rome.
called?
Yeah.
Gabrielle?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
That's the one, I think.
Strawberry Station was talking about him.
Yeah, URL becomes IRL.
Becomes Gabrielle.
It becomes Gabrielle. Damn. Why didn't I think of that? But no, that is what it's all about. And there were a couple from Manchester who'd come down, and they were going to go sightseeing the next day. No, there were all these people who'd made quite long journeys.
I think there was a couple from Greece as well, wasn't there?
There was.
And there was a very local
from Greece as well.
girl who bought a poster off me 4 times, lost each one, and then fell over at the end of the evening. Just at the point she was saying to everyone.
Times. I think she bought it once. I think she bought it once, and then you gave her, and then you gave her 3 subsequent replacements, which she then just lost.
And then at the very end of the night, I think she, just as she was telling everyone to come back for an after party at her house in Tottenham, she took a tumble, I think.
She fell over the back of the table that the lady was taking all the entrance money.
It's normally you doing that.
The worst thing was Yeah, I'm ashamed to. Do you know the worst thing was the next day we had to go back to the venue, and you know that smell of yesterday's beer is quite sickening. Anyway, we had to reload the car with all the kit, and just as we were about, I was carrying this massive box of records out of the venue, and what did I see on the floor but one of her posters rolled up with an elastic band? It was definitely hers, because I didn't have many elastic bands with me, so it's got to be one of her or a few people who took a poster wrapped up like that. And it was there, and I'd just had the presence of mind to curse her for taking 4, but I shouldn't, because it was nice of her to just come and buy one and come and enjoy the party. And I think she might have felt like she enjoyed it too much the next morning, but who knows?
Yeah. Well, I think we should talk about new arcades.
Yes. Well, first of all, Adam saved the day by jumping in and helping us get everything running smoothly with the sound. But they were amazing, and it was good. That was the first live band on stage.
It's worth mentioning as well that they were meant to be playing much later in the night, but because of the delay and kind of all of the complications, they ended up sound checking last because they had a different setup to everyone else, and then they ended up going on early because Adam had a flight, didn't he?
I think he's in LA now.
Early the next day. Lucky guy.
Yeah, I know.
It worked out well though, because I think it fit.
Yeah.
It fit the time of the evening. It was some variation earlier on, and obviously we'll get on to Iverson later on where the slot would have been. But
I think they're obviously the most experienced live band. We've all got experience playing live music, but not with these projects. I think that's probably fair to say, Jay. But Iverson had played shows as well. But this was the first Donor show, and it was the first Runners Club show. And I think it made sense actually to have new arcades up first with just consummate professionals. Really, they've done this many times before, and it was slick.
Well, just on Friday we released an album called Until Now on TimeSlave, which is basically literally a decade of unreleased physically tracks and stuff. So it kind of marks a decade of them doing this. They've been doing it for a long time, and like you said, more than experienced enough to step in, save the day from an engineering point of view, but quite selflessly to move themselves in the run in order to help make sure that everyone else was smoothly set up. And they really captured the mood, and it felt like the party was really kicking off from that point as well. The Melonade jumped in as well. I think by this point we'd pretty much sacrificed our sets for good. Melonade was amazing.
Something had to give. But we'll talk about that in a bit, though, won't we? About how we...
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's the theme of the evening, really, isn't it? Sort of rescuing victory from the jaws of defeat. You guys can have your final victory.
Yeah.
I was always confident that we get there. I remember a few times just sort of... Well, I think we were both saying to each other, it'll be fine. It's going to be a bit shit for a couple of hours. But once we get through that bit... we'll be absolutely fine. I remember, I think just grimacing at Vince a couple of times.
It kind of had everything, though. It was the perfect setup. So for people who weren't there, if you can try and imagine it, we had a big stage at the back, or a reasonably big stage at the back. If you walked around behind that, you had a beer garden. It was beautifully sunny. They were cooking all this amazing food, which everyone else got to eat, and I don't think I ever got round to try them, but it did look absolutely stunning. And then to the right of the stage was like a DJ booth. And it worked really well because you could set up the DJs ready to go in between the live sets, and the crowd pretty much just had to turn ever so slightly to their right, and you could carry on straight away really seamlessly. And so when Melonade dropped in after New Arcade set, it was like a change of energy because it was faster paced music. Future Funk is that kind of uplifting dance bangers kind of stuff, and he played some amazing tunes. I think he dropped St. Pepsi's Better, which blew people away, and he might have even played is it a Macross? That Macross track.
He played what do you play? I Want to Be With You, I heard as well.
Yeah, that's the one. Absolutely.
Yeah, Fun Tonight, Mac.
Yeah, it was sensible having the DJ booth, as a different focal point to the stage as well, because actually people's attention was was focused there, whilst me and Jay were sort of faffing around on stage getting set up. I think it was good.
Yeah. A massive shout to Melonade. Followed by Runners Club. And that was their first ever
I don't think it was. I think it was followed
gig.
by us, wasn't it?
Ah, shit. Sorry.
Yeah, it was. It was.
I forgot about that. An unmemorable set.
I think I was quite... No, do you know what? I got quite drunk at that point, because I sobered off a bit for a couple of hours after this, but I think I was so tense about getting started. But by the time you come on, because I came onto the stage to introduce you both, and then you guys were unreal. You always are. I've heard you guys rehearse.
I thought you were going to sing Midnight Store.
If you'd have played the first notes, I think I would have done it.
Were you that pissed?
Because that was the only thing. It was like I felt like I was going to an Oasis gig and not hearing Wonderwall, which is actually a really bad parallel to draw, because I am sick to death of Wonderwall. But I feel like Midnight Store is one of your bangers, and you guys did it live in the Pinkbird studio.
Yeah.
So, and Yana was there. You could have done it. I appreciate she'd have had to stand around for quite a while whilst only singing one line. But I beg you, do it next time.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah. But Jack was happy because you played Turn the Fridge On.
Yeah, well, weirdly, that's our hit. I don't know why.
Turn the fridge on.
Yeah, something in the Spotify algorithm.
Yeah, well, it really is that. Cause Jay and I joke about it, because it was like, it's one of the strangest songs on Midnight Store, and it just gets banged between...
It's a tune, though.
It is, but it's it's not really Vaporwave, and it's very, very heavy rotation on Vaporwave playlist on Spotify.
I think a lot of that is down to the fact that Space Jam's Jack just tells everybody to play it, though.
It could be that, yeah. He's got it on perma repeat.
2,000 times a day.
I constantly...
Yeah, thanks, Jack.
He sends me constantly voice notes, like anything, and it's turn the fridge on.
Turn the fridge on.
He was killing me at the...
Derby, Outrun the Sun.
Outrun the Sun, he was killing me. He was doing it all night. It was crazy. So funny.
Yeah, well, we did play that one, but we didn't play Midnight Store. I'm sorry.
No. How did it feel, though,
Next
guys?
time.
Like, that's the first time you guys have done an IRL show as a pair.
To be honest with you, I had this, like, I always get quite nervous before I do a gig, but I had this, like, thing about 15 minutes before. I was just, like, so nervous.
Yeah,
It's crazy. Like, I never felt that nervous before. I don't know what it was. I think it's, like, maybe it's because, it's just something I've never done live.
That was quite big by that point.
Live before. Yeah, and it kind of felt like there's a lot of pressure just from, like, the show being, we obviously wanted the show to be good, and then I was doing this set and the Iverson set as well. It kind of felt like quite a lot of pressure, but then as soon as we got on stage, and I think as well, it's like when everything was kind of going wrong with the technical issues and stuff like that just stacks the pressure as well. Do you know what I mean? But then I think as soon as we started, like, played the first, like, few notes, as then suddenly it was just like, it's just gone. Like, all of the kind of fear was just kind of gone. So then we just had fun.
If you have a dodgy sound check, then often the gig goes quite well.
Yeah.
Like you get all the sort of bad vibes out of the way, and I think we kind of got that all out of our system in the afternoon, and by the evening, it kind of had its own momentum. The night, I think, I know I was saying this weird kind of birthday wedding vibes. Like, I didn't have anything to drink, I didn't have anything to eat, but, like, it's that kind of thing when you're a bit pissed, like the night kind of takes on its own momentum, and I feel it was like a bit of a blur, but like, in a really good way, and it just kind of, we just went with it, and it went to good places, thankfully.
Oh yeah, amazing. And whilst Sunday was quite tough, probably for all of us, the tiredness kicking in, I think on the Monday I almost felt like I had PTSD, like just the constant stress. And actually doing this is quite cathartic, because I feel like I'm going back and remembering the stuff that I didn't stop to take in.
Yeah, it's group therapy.
Yeah. Well, Jacob and Ewan talk a lot about Groove Horizons, and that event was quite special because it was the first UK event of its kind. And a lot of people who went there remember that really fondly. It was like the Electronicon of the UK. And I know some people have said that about this event, but obviously they were there first. And I think that that's worth remembering. And it's just like, you have to stop and try and take it in, because you're getting all these people who've like, whether it's you guys, they love your music and they're coming to see you, or they're coming to see one of the other bands, or whether they're buying our records, or it's just amazing to have all these different people pulled together into one place.
I think what was also helpful is the photos that have been taken from that evening. I was looking through some of the ones that had been done for us, and there were people that I've got having a picture taken with. I don't even remember talking to them during that evening, because I remember my main phrase of the night was, "Sorry, I've got to go. I need to go over here and do this thing," and it might have been, insert job here for whoever it was I was talking to. But that was my memory of just thinking, chatting to people in little segments throughout the evening, jumping on and doing a little bit of this, announcing that person, checking on that, whatever it might well have been. So you're right, there is that element of the memories that people have brought, either online or to me face to face. They're nice, but I kind of wish that I'd remembered them because I was just running around like a crazy person the whole time. But it was, I think it was a lot to do with the kind of pictures, and we had some really good pictures that have come out in the end that really helped to kind of remember what the night was like.
Can we give a special mention to Charlie for taking those pictures, because she was quite reluctant, I think it's fair to say. We went down to look at the venue the week before when me and my mate Craig were going to a Spurs game, and what's that pub called on the corner? The High Cross?
The High Cross.
Yeah, we had
it's called. It's not toilets.
Former public toilets converted into a nice little pub. Well worth checking out. This Sunday roast is amazing, but that's a different story. But we basically, everyone we'd asked to take photos was unavailable due to weddings or what have you, and she really didn't want to do it, but she just caught the energy so well. There's some amazing photos, like photos across a busy bar of people, like, not just the photos where people know they're being taken photos of, is what I mean. Like, they were professional, and we'll have to try and find a way to share them. Perhaps we've got the domain, which is currently linking to the Eventbrite page, which is now dead. So we should try and find a way to, for now at least, showcase visually what happened at the event. I think that'd be quite a nice thing to do. But yeah, shouts to Charlie. You did an amazing job, and we'd love to have you take photos every time we do an event in future.
Oh, she'll do it again. She's caught the bug for it. In the sense that, and for those that don't know, she used to do a lot of it historically anyway, so she hadn't done a lot of that photography for a few years. Typical thing with iPhones, really, isn't it? You kind of don't bother bringing larger cameras out anymore. But I know that she's definitely up for doing more, so I'm super happy about that because she's captured the evening really well.
Appreciated.
Yeah, man, definitely.
Thanks, Charlie.
I don't want to talk about Donor Lens too much, but yeah, just on the subject of shout-outs, we got to thank Yana for doing guest vocals with us, because I think the way we structured our sets was we had like an instrumental first half. After we played Turn the Fridge On, we brought Yana on for some vocal stuff, and she kind of came in from out of the crowd, sang 3 or 4 of our kind of more sort of poppy vocal numbers, and then when we were playing Distant, which was our final tune, kind of hop back into the crowd and dance with everyone. And it's her like stage presence is amazing, and her energy is incredible as well. Like it really forced me and Jay to up our game as well, because otherwise it's just kind of two sort of nerdy guys shredding on keys and guitar and stuff, and she brings like much more of a kind of pop sensibility and proper stage presence. So yeah, she forces us to up our game.
The event was a really nice coming together of different people within the scene, and I think Vaporwave in general kind of attracts disparate types of fans. So if like you're a metal fan like myself, you can still have Vaporwave, and if you like Synthwave, that crosses over into Vaporwave as well. And yeah, it's just like a really good camaraderie amongst the fans and audience, which was so nice. And of course, it was amazing, so amazing to perform after what felt like a million years. So yeah, thanks for having me on stage, Donor Lens.
I kind of had like a tiny bit of fear for you, because the way you'd been placed then, with New Arcades going earlier, you were kind of playing in quite a busy period of the night then, like one of the first really full sets to be played, and I was just waiting to see how well this experiment of melding all these genres together would work. As in, if you've got a crowd full of people who love synthwave and only a handful of vaporwave fans, how well is this kind of breaks-infused experimental style of music going to go down? And to be fair, it really did go down well. It was brilliant. And that was partly with how well you played, how good the tunes are, but also Jana's energy for sure. And perhaps the fact that we had quite we told everyone to be open-minded to different styles before they came, and they definitely came with that in mind. So shouts to you guys.
Definitely.
So Runners Club, all the way from Sweden.
Me and Maria had a great time at Future Sounds. It was so nice meeting all these people from the scene that we have been talking to online for the last couple of years. I can't think of a better way to get back into going out after the pandemic. So please make a European tour out of this and come to Sweden soon.
We'd had them the day before to film. We'd done a really good interview with them for the documentary, which was amazing. But yeah, I think it was their kind of first big show. As Runners Club,
I think it was their first in real life show. Full stop.
It was.
Yeah. And you wouldn't have known. It was amazing.
And I think Carl was quite proud about it as well, because apparently at the airport, Maria had gone through security, and Carl, went afterwards, and he'd been asked by customs what the purpose of his visit was, and he sort of very proudly told the customs agent that he was performing live with his band, and the customs agent was like, "Yeah, you need a visa for that." And luckily for Carl,
shopping.
Maria had already gone through customs, and the guy was just like, "I'm going to pretend that you didn't say that."
Just gone. Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's a sort of post-Brexit little bit of admin that Carl misjudged but got away with. And I think maybe that's the theme of the evening, that we came close to a few disasters and very fortunately averted them.
Yeah, man, for sure. The last thing I'd have wanted...
Someone had...
No, I was going to say the last thing we would have wanted was a phone call from Maria saying, can someone come and bail Carl out? He's tried to get in the country fraudulently. Yeah.
I'd had a... and forgive me, because if that person's listening, I can't remember who it was that I spoke to, but while they were performing, someone asked me... had these guys performed before because they were really good, and I think when I said no, it's their first time anywhere doing this act, they were quite shocked, because I think Carl had quite a fun stage presence about him. He looked like he was having a really
jumped
good
into
time
the crowd.
on stage. I think it
was awesome, wasn't it?
So it was just nice to see them enjoying themselves as well as playing.
I think they're Anglophiles. I think they were just like jazzed to be in London. To be honest, I think a lot of Carl's, a lot of both of their sort of kind of music and fashion references are kind of UK and sort of London based, and I think they were just like really stoked to be here. And as soon as they got back, they've been chatting to us about coming back to do some writing sessions and stuff. So I think they had a blast.
Okay.
Definitely. And I think like Carl and Maria, when we met them at the start for the filming the day before, they're definitely kind of outwardly shy at first, perhaps. And the way that that energy was converted on the stage. I mean, the first thing Carl said was, if you don't know the words to this track, you will by the end, which was like a kind of a statement of intent, I thought. And it was quite a bold way to start a set, your first set. And he was right, because everyone was singing it back to him. And then he was in the crowd. There's a great shot that Sam's got. Sam's the he's another filmer, another cameraman. Sorry, for the documentary. He got this amazing shot at one point where he's behind the two of them. They both got their bucket hats on and they're bouncing, and the crowd's bouncing simultaneously to one of the tracks they're playing, and you could just see it just captured the whole vibe that they created. It was amazing. It was yeah. They were fused with each other and the crowd. It was lovely.
They've got a lovely dynamic. I mean, we saw it more clearly from the filming, but they weren't looking at the camera when they were being interviewed. They're kind of looking sort of quite sweetly at each other in a way that's it's like just genuinely really lovely. It's not at all icky
or anything.
And then their kind of stage presence is kind of on that theme, like just that Carl is projecting something slightly more kind of extrovert, and Maria's just looking very cool and kind of hidden behind her shades, but just sort of laying down some bass lines and some backing vocals and just kind of being a bit more steely about it. It's a nice sort of yin yang thing.
I've got to say, what was one of my favourite take homes of the whole weekend is meeting them in person at last. They're both so lovely. They really are.
Yeah, man.
Can't wait to see them next time they come back to the UK. So after Runners Club, I think it was then Iverson. I got the order wrong a few times. I think that's right this time. I'm right this time, aren't I?
You are correct.
Yeah. I love Iverson. I've said it before.
Then it was Iverson.
Honestly, though.
How was it for you, Jerome? Because I think what was interesting was, well, we knew they were going to be good. The energy, obviously, it built as they were kind of, as you guys were playing anyway. But geez, sorry, and Tom as well, because you were involved in it as well this time around, weren't you? Like, how was it for you guys in terms of playing it? Because by the end, the crowd were going insane.
It felt like I was saying earlier about playing the Donald Lens set. Felt like it was quite nervy and sort of kind of had to kind of work into it. I think the Iverson set by that point the crowd was maybe everyone had a few drinks, everyone sort of loosened up. The whole thing just felt more sort of raw, like, wild.
It was a home crowd as well, wasn't it? I think Josh and Johnny, Max and us to an extent, they had brought a load of mates down who were all at the front, and like it was quite a sort of wild and scrappy set. Like you were having trouble with pedal board and guitar amp and stuff, and by the end of it, getting roped into playing a Nirvana cover, like it was kind of messy, but like kind of gloriously messy, right?
Yeah, we hadn't rehearsed that song.
No, it seems to be a thing now though that Iverson plays like a sort of 90s noughties kind of hard rock song at the end of the set. Because last time I saw you guys, you did Killing in the Name
of, wasn't it? Yeah,
we hadn't rehearsed that one either. I think we need to stop.
I'm pushing for Chop Suey next, some System of a Down.
Yeah,
nice.
I assume you guys had. I assume you had rehearsed the Tears for Fears one though.
Definitely.
That was amazing.
That was supposed to be a surprise for Enzo as well, but somebody spoiled it in the rehearsal the night before. Who was it? Was it Josh?
I think it was Josh himself, because I was about to leave the room. To go and get the pizza sorted, and they could have practiced it then. But there's a bit of BTS content for you. If you think the energy was big on stage, Martin, mate, you want to see them when they're rehearsing. It's insane. Like, I'm quite puppy dog. Like, Max is mad, and Johnny, when they're together, they are like so crazy. Like, I just look at Thom and my brother, like, and Josh. It's like, how would you cope on a tour with them?
He's a very flexible man, Max, as well, isn't he? A very flexible man as well.
He's very flexible.
He put his legs right behind his head.
He really did, yeah. He did, yeah.
Well, I don't want to ask why, because I'm just like, what
no, you don't need reason for their behaviour.
It's sort of like a performance art.
Yeah.
The whole.
He was, like Stanley Unwin. Is it Stanley Unwin did the? Is it, Small Faces, Ogden's Not Gone Flake? Is it Stanley Unwin who does that? Are we all sitting foursquare comfy bowled on our botties? Like gobbledygook kind of children's TV kind of narration for this album. It's like quite a seminal concept album the Small Faces did. And he does this, he breaks out into like gobbledygook and makes up languages.
I think it's like a Derek and Clive thing as well, isn't it? It's like kind of like a smutty kind of naughty boy thing that him and Johnny do.
Yeah, it's brilliant. It's fantastic. But a week of it would be tiring.
Yeah, we're talking about it as well, aren't we, Jay? Iverson
tour. I'm trying to throw you guys under a diplomatic bus here.
I'm not sure we can cope with it.
Maybe we can take a separate vehicle.
Go in your dadmobile.
It might be for the best.
In the Citroen Berlingo.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how tired Max and Johnny would be if they drove each other?
Well, they do, don't they? And they are tired afterwards.
There we are. Right, we'll have to intervene.
Put them down.
We'll have to intervene here. I
think.
Be all right. Sensible dad here. I'm going to have to intervene and work out a nice way to arrange the seating so they don't cause each other too much bother.
Separate the naughty boys. Yeah.
You sit over there and you sit over there. I really enjoyed it. Like I think I wasn't aware of the Tears for Fears cover, so that was a nice little surprise for me. You know, I've seen Iverson play numerous times in the last, I want to say probably, what was it, 5-6 years, probably coming up now. It's the best I think I've seen them
absolutely.
play. It's the most confident. It's got a really nice balance between the new stuff that they're releasing as well as some of the older stuff that Josh had always been that Josh had started off the project with. It feels like Iverson are in a really good place, and it's nice to see. And I think now is a peak time to get them out there doing more, because they were quiet for a long time, and I think that it's not that people forgot about them, but I think that now that they're back, everyone's remembering how much of a good time they had at an Iverson.
I think that those boys have got a sense of purpose, don't they?
Yeah, man. The new album is fantastic as well. Houseplants.
Absolutely.
Really if you haven't heard that album, you should go and listen to it, because it's
the vinyls arrived this
awesome.
week. It's like one of the first times we've done gatefold. And
it's a gatefold.
Yeah, it's got like one on the internal bit. It's got like a whole sheet, like old school style, with all the lyrics to all the tracks, and then a little photo shoot that Josh and Johnny did. It looks absolutely stunning. But yeah, I feel like they landed. That gig was where they really landed. It was a big crowd. A lot of people saw them. A lot of people were singing along by the end of it. And I think the way it was received, and it was quite interesting because Ollie Ride is one of the bigger names in the synthwave scene, and he was. It was great to see him come down, and not that necessarily they sound like him, but he's got like a showcase cover that he does at the end of his gigs, hasn't he? So was it the FM84 or was it the Ollie gig where he did? Is it?
He did at his own gigs last time round. I think he did Lady in Red last time.
Yeah.
Midway through,
that's a Vaporwave anthem.
He's done some other stuff
the Vaporwave
well.
anthem.
Banger alert.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So no, I get what you mean, definitely. But and I think just to touch on it, I mean, it's not to kind of moan about other things, but I know that when Iverson played in Derby at Outrun the Sun, they were on really early in the afternoon. I think it was like a 3:00 slot they had at the time, and it was busy enough because I think it was one of the first events, you know, post second lockdown or however many lockdowns we ended up having. But I definitely think that they were much better suited to the slot that they had at Future Sounds. Everything just came together nicely that evening for that particular set.
Which I guess brings us on nicely to the last kind of headline act. Obviously, and it's worth shouting out to Jack, because Space Jams stepped in to do a DJ set at the end of the night, and we'll come on to that when we kind of wrap up the end of the evening, because we did have a couple of pullouts in the week running up. 80 Stallone, Chris was unable to make it due to unforeseen circumstances, and DJ Shira got COVID. I hope she's feeling better now. And
well, she was at a gig last week, so I think she's cool right now.
So it was amazing of Jack to step in at last minute, short notice to join us and play what was a brilliant set. But let's go one earlier to Ed Sunglasses Kid. It's a hard act to follow. I thought the way Iverson played and how big the energy was in the room at that time, I thought I feared for anyone who had to step up afterwards, especially a DJ set. But I'm not going to lie, he did the only thing a DJ can do, which is to absolutely smash it with your first tune and go from there. Because he immediately captured everyone back into the DJ mood, and everyone was like, right, okay, the live act's finished, and now it's time to party out the rest of the night kind of thing. And it was a nice segue to the end of the evening. It was an amazing set.
No, I think it worked out well, because for those that don't know, Ed was due to do a full live set, but he'd injured his hand a number of weeks before, and we'd been umming and ahhing about what he could do, and in the end, sort of came to a conclusion that you'd happily do a DJ set. But I think it worked out. It definitely worked out well. So he had a nice mixture of his own tracks, in terms of a synthwave kind of thing, but a lot of it was also this kind of 80s soul influence tracks that were definitely that you can see in his own writing. So I think tried to jump up on stage as soon as Iverson were done and just say to everybody, by the way, just turn around because Sunglasses over there, and then he just went in straight into it. I think it worked really well.
Well, you could see that the crowd didn't move.
Hell
that
yeah.
was the fear, was that maybe sometimes, like I was saying, moving from bands into DJs again, there might be some people who decide to see that as a segue to the end of the evening, but actually hardly anyone moved. They just turned round and kind of felt like the party had a couple of hours more. I mean, I know the clocks went forward. There's a point at this point in the night where I kind of started to get a bit too tired to realise what was going on anymore, perhaps. Maybe I'd had one or two too many drinks at that point as well. But I feel like this 2 hours kind of became a blur for me because I finally was able to relax. It felt like the last complicated setup was achieved. We only had DJs from there on in, which meant we'd nailed it. So we could
it's quite symbolic, the clocks changing as well, like that point of the evening becoming a total blur, and like the fact that time literally did change as well. It's quite representative.
Yeah.
I've got a message from Patabito, Vaporwave artist named Patabito, who was in attendance, and they were saying that it was the latest they'd ever stayed out. which is
nice.
Pretty cool.
I like that.
Because they were there masked up out of precaution because the numbers going into the event were pretty bad.
That was one fear I had. Yeah, that was one fear. We were following all the guidance.
Yeah.
We were doing everything that we possibly
have any need to feel guilty about it because we switched venues to a larger venue which is better ventilated with more outdoor space. But some of our attendees were taking precautions, and good for them. But said latest ever stayed out. Wanted to be one of the last on the dance floor, and the amazing sets just kept coming. I felt much more at home at this eclectic gig than I ever do out at other shows. Everything about it just felt right.
Oh wow!
Nice. Yeah,
that was really nice.
That's so nice.
That means so much as well.
So they produce under the name Patabito. They make really nice kind of MIDI funk, vaporwave style stuff. Yeah.
Patabito, thank you.
Yeah,
that means
it really does. We
really
put a lot of hard work into it, and that's exactly why we were trying to do it. And I think the first thing, apart from thanking you, is I'm going to go and check out your music.
Yeah, it's really cool music. It's not
before.
A million miles off Active Presence, who I've picked as my sort of show and tell selection in a previous episode, but it does similar things with rhythm, but more closely connected to vaporwave. Yeah, really cool stuff.
Let's try and link in the description.
Yeah, we'll do.
Be a nice gesture back, I think.
Yeah.
You read my mind.
But yeah, I think that what they've said really encapsulates what we were trying to achieve. And for one person to feel that way is pretty special. I also spoke to Gabrielle, did we say, who said it was one of the best nights of his life. He absolutely just loved it from start to finish. Yeah, he just kept saying how much he loved it. And the guys from Cologne, the couple that came from Cologne, they're looking to set up shows similar to this in Germany. I mean, they were really enjoying the energy and the vibe as well. And hopefully, I mean, it sounds like the feedback we've had from all the artists who are involved, they've enjoyed the show as well and what we're trying to achieve. And I think that we'll have all of them want to play future shows with us again.
Let's talk about Jack Dyson. Last minute, saving the day.
He saved the day before.
Oh, no.
we were dying of stress the day before because unfortunately we got the kind of text from Shira saying that she'd got COVID, bless her. And I know how excited she was to come and play. And
no, I think because having spoken to him before, I think he was very much looking forward to
getting on the lash,
a weekend off, getting lashed,
not having to concentrate,
not worrying about it. Given that, as you probably all know, that Jack also runs a couple of live events that are coming up himself in April and in June. So he's been working a lot on that. But he was happy to at very last minute come up, wait until 1 in the morning. To do his set and keep everyone going to the point where I can remember having to basically having to throw people out who just wouldn't leave. To the point where the bar lady's kind of closing all the curtains around the building.
You're kind of summing up a vibe. You're kind of summing up a vibe of the band carrying on playing as the Titanic sinks. But I think it was much more the sound reached a certain point because I think when the clocks kicked forward, the bar manager kind of shat herself a little bit about the level of noise.
I think
because every time they turned it down, he kept turning it back up to keep the sound pumping. So they had to pull that massive curtain across to kind of dampen the noise a bit. And
that curtain was quite effective.
It was, it was. We didn't have any
surprisingly effective.
Sure.
Hello, everybody. Who am I? It's not important. But what is important is that 2 weeks ago, I checked out a really cool event called FutureSounds. It is the love child of My Pet Flamingo and TimeSlave Recording, and this is a live debut event version that was also spearheaded by Patrick Fateman. And you could tell straight away that this event was run by true lovers and fans of the synth scene, the vapor scene, and the future funk scene, and even the city pop scene. And obviously, because of COVID, as we know, there's been, lots of... we've all been dying to have some events, and it does very much feel that the synthwave scene is being reshaped and reformed, and it was great to see this event push new boundaries. As a personal future funk fanatic, it was great to finally meet Melonade, and it was great to, boogie down with Strawberry Station. And it was just really good to see the fusion, to see that people are accepting of it, people like it. And that, it definitely invites so many ideas in the future. I think for our own events here in Bristol, we are looking to also incorporate Vaporwave at some point. But end of the day, FutureSounds were the guys that did it first, and it's paid off wonderfully. And as I say, synthwave scene, yes, we always have synthwave, and there'll be many more synthwave events, I'm sure. But let's be honest, it was getting a bit stale in places. But now the idea of incorporating Vaporwave and having, I don't know, who's to say we won't have St. Pepsi one day? What if we get Macross 82 to 89? We've opened the doors to so many people, and we can allow synthwave events to feel new and exciting as well as Vaporwave. It deserves.
Should we shout out Jack's next event?
Yeah.
The first one's Tales from the Crypt 2, which is a dark synth event he's got on the 30th of April. That is in Bristol.
6:30 p.m. till late.
Yeah, it's
Tales from
so Jack's got the first one he's got is Tales from the Crypt 2, which is a dark synth event on April the 30th in Bristol, and then he's also got a much larger event in terms of time. It's an all-day one, which is Hotline Bristol, which will also, as the name suggests, be in Bristol, and that will be on, I'm just looking for it very quickly if I can find it. That is on Saturday the 4th of June. He's got Wave Shaper playing at that one.
Nice. And we'll be bringing our merch table with us for both.
Oh, for both?
I think so, yeah.
That we will.
It's looking that way. So the only thing that we haven't covered yet, so obviously we didn't get to play our set, which I kind of felt a deep morning regret for the next day when I recovered, because I was kind of thinking that of all of the energy and effort that was sorry, my dog's just coming. Hello, Harry. I think we've gone on to a point where it's almost bedtime, so let me start again. Give me 2 seconds. So we've kind of found a way to get around it and rescue the lost set, because I know that we'd both spent quite a bit of time preparing our sets, so we've kind of found a way to rescue it.
Well, because City Pop's not easy to DJ with.
It's not.
In any way, shape or form. So I think you're right. It was a shame that we weren't able to show everybody what we'd done. So I'm glad that we've managed to rescue it.
Well, it was kind of the only genre on the list that ended up unrepresented on the night as well, apart from like a 2-minute sound check that I did at one point earlier in the day. But so what we're going to do is we've both recorded our sets as live and melded them together, and we'll be giving that away as a Club Classics for Club Flamingo members. So that'll be available to stream. I guess it's a good time to sort of look at what we might do differently, or what we've learned from it. I don't know.
Yeah, I've got some.
What do you
thoughts.
think, Tom?
I think, I would keep on saying. I said about the donor performance, and I think about the night as a whole that it went as well as it possibly could have done, which sounds like sort of maybe damning with faint praise, but it went really well. There are lots of lessons that I think we learned from it. Like, there's an element that we possibly bit off more than we could chew, like in terms of the logistics, like how many acts we tried to pack into what was more like a kind of extended gig evening, and then it was like a full kind of day festival thing. And I think going ahead, maybe...
I think on that, though, On that point, though, on the day, I think if we'd have learned, because we'll also go on to probably, I'm sure we all agree that we learned quite a lot technically in terms of making sure that your setup, be much more strict about when you start the sound check so that you can iron out these issues earlier. But I do think if we'd have got underway a bit earlier, maybe with the extra sets as well, it might have felt a bit more like a day festival.
Yeah.
And I think that the way we ended up having to segue, I've said this already, but jumping from DJ sets to live sets made the smooth flow of sets easier to manage and keep people occupied whilst you're setting up for the bigger bands and stuff. I think that's something that we could take from it going forward, because you can have more acts so long as you're not having loads of downtime and so long as you're not making things too difficult for yourself in terms of setting up, I guess.
Yeah. I think giving ourselves a few more hours, like having a full like day festival, I think would communicate that more clearly. Like a 12 to 12 thing or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, like maybe it was like halfway in between the two things, and it needs to just be one or the other. I think just the sound checking earlier thing, but we wanted to do that, but it wasn't possible with the venue and the staff they had available to accommodate us for the sound check-in. We just kind of had to make do in the end with what we did, and I think we made it work. I mean the other thing was we'd been planning for visuals to be running for the whole thing, and that kind of last minute sort of fell through. So next time, that was a big take home for me.
Yeah, what was that mad bug you had on your laptop? Because we had the FutureSounds logo on the wall, and then every 20 minutes it would cut out, and it would just be Jerome's laptop.
It was just going.
Something
it was just going to my screensaver, which was weird because I had turned it off of the screensaver settings and all that kind of stuff. I think it was just one of those things.
I can vouch for that.
Yeah,
it was definitely not worth it.
Super weird, man. But it was just one of those things. It was like my. The patches on my pedal board, like the patch cables, just breaking. They're like brand new patch cables. I think sometimes you just get like gremlins.
Should we invest in a couple of DI boxes just in case? Is that a good take home, Tom? Or should we assume that most places are going to have them?
Yeah.
I'm not even a musician. I'm going to buy two just to have them.
Turns out they're not that expensive. Turns out they're not that expensive. No,
are they not?
No.
So it might be worth just having a little box.
Just having them in the bag. Yeah. Definitely.
I agree on the visuals thing though, because certainly I think since then people that have seen the show or either were at the show or had seen clips online, a few people have sort of come up to me and said it'd be really cool to work with you guys and do some visual stuff. So I think we should have a bit. We've
got some irons in the fire on that, haven't we? Yeah.
Definitely, there's definitely a few on there that I think we should take advantage of. People whose work I've seen before at other events as well, which would be a super cool addition.
So we're talking about coming back and how often we try and, because obviously we don't want to jump straight back in and put ourselves under that much pressure immediately. I think enjoying what we've achieved and having a break is just as important as loosely in the background planning the next one. But I think we've kind of got this idea that at some point later this year we'll come back with something pretty big. We're in talks with getting someone over from America, I won't say any more. And doing something, I think, a little bit bigger. I think we'll attract a bigger crowd and also another major synthwave artist from the continent. And I think that we could do something even bigger. I don't think that's beyond the realms of possibility. I think we've learned quite a lot. But I think we've proven to ourselves that we can do something without losing money and without compromising on quality. I think there's a couple of things like the visuals and stuff to improve on. I think it was brilliant. I think it was a lovely first event.
I really enjoyed it. I think from a personal point of view, I've had a career in criminal justice, for God's sake. So it was what was really nice to be invited to sort of support you guys in doing this and help out, is that it was doing something that I love doing as a hobby and a scene or scenes that I've enjoyed being part of for nearly a decade now already. To be part of that and to do stuff that actually was super enjoyable, and I got to use some skills towards something that I'm super interested in. So thank you to you guys as well, because I've had a blast doing it too.
So that's the whole spirit of the kind of synth thing. It's like there's kind of a spectrum between hobbyist and professional, and music maker and sort of kind of participating in a scene. It's all about, because it's so DIY, like everybody just kind of mucks in, whether it's your full-time job or whether you're doing it kind of unpaid, or whether, some people kind of are spending a huge amount of money to kind of fly over and, attend these events and stuff. It's an investment for them. it's kind of like our whole community of people kind of mucking in together.
Loads of people are both, though, aren't they? Music maker and participant. And that's the beautiful thing. There were several, you mentioned them earlier on, there were several artists there who weren't on the bill but came along to support the show. And people who, one day we'd love to work with. Like, it goes without saying you can't get everyone that you'd love to have on the bill for the same show, but it's great to see so many different people.
I think it was also nice that some of the artists that were there, I've either seen at maybe one event before or very rarely at any events at all. So I think we take a lot from the fact that those individuals chose to come to our event, which is lovely too. But yeah,
why don't you tell us quickly? We've had a big session of patting ourselves on the back for what was a wonderful show, but you.
I was going to say we should cut some of that out.
No, not at all. I think that's what this is all about. It's our platform.
I just think it was so great.
We did it. Let's talk about it and try and bring it to life for people who didn't get there. But you went to an event this weekend as well, so it's not just us. There's a kind of a thriving and healthy scene. I think this was more on the synthwave side of things. Where was that again?
Yeah, I went to a couple of synthwave events. There was one small one called Dusk Waves, which was in Stockholm.
Was that like a pre-party for the LeBrock one?
It wasn't exactly attached to it. More of a it was its own separate event. There were 3 acts on there, with whom I might have to insert names in a bit because I can't remember exactly who they were. But I went there with Jack, Space Jam's Jack, for the afternoon, and met with a few people. And then later in the evening, we then went up to what was an in real life version of Synthwave. So each Friday night during lockdown, Shawnee P from LeBrock was doing a live stream from his house. He was just DJing synthwave music every Friday for goodness knows over a year. I think he was doing it for the end. So
it was amazing.
It was really good. It wasn't like an event as it were. It was more like a club night. It was warm. It was hot. It was sweaty. People were packed into the back heart in Camden. But it was really good. Wolf Club did a sort of DJ set beforehand, and then the guys at Synth City did one after him. But yeah, it was enjoyable. It was nice to kind of get back out again. I think, as you guys alluded to earlier on, I was still worn out from the weekend before, so it was more a case of Sean came to our event, so I wanted to reciprocate and go to his. I think I got home about 1:30 in the morning and then just slept for the rest of the whole day the next day. But it was a good event. It was nicely done. It was just different. We haven't had an event like that before, so it was nice to see people that have clearly made friends from his Discord, then in real life all being together.
I caught up with him for about 10-15 minutes. I had a brief kind of like, I'm going to go outside and get some fresh air, and I sat down and chatted to him and some of his mates. And yeah, thanks to Sean for coming down to our show, but lovely bloke. And I can remember at a certain point when lockdown was becoming its most wearing, its most taxing, I'd come back on a Friday and you'd have your tape deck sessions on, and then straight afterwards it would go straight into the synthwave. And it was a point where somehow the scene kind of kept itself alive and kept people sane with a bit of a party. It'd be like Glenn on the old Camden Pale. Well, no, Camden Red. He's a Camden Red man, which I can't drink because it's an Arsenal beer.
Yeah, he's a Camden
Arsenal beer. I can't drink that one. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, and then everyone would be sharing their M&S 2-for-1 Friday selection for the week. Sounds very middle class.
Enzo, are you getting nostalgic for lockdown?
Yeah, we'll get the mix out in the next couple of days. We'll get the podcast out over the next few days, obviously. Thanks to Jay for joining us. I know you don't like to jump on the mic.
Thank you for having me. He loves it.
It's been lovely.
I'll come.
You're going to come again?
I'll come back again soon. At some point.
I think we've got later in the month, perhaps we'll have an interview with the talented Mr. OSC, which Tom's working on. And yeah, we'll see you on the other side.
Yep.
Thank you, gents.
See you soon.
Cool. Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, that is quite Vaporwave, mate.
2022 sort of promised a new dawn, really, when it came to live events. and Future Sounds, the TimeSlave and My Pet Flamingo guys, saw an opportunity to, I guess, add some competition to what is already a very healthy UK live music scene. And of course, this added a bit of extra pressure. You know, that it was the first event of the year, and there are plenty of others to come. So obviously, people were probably looking on these guys to sort of see, all right, what are they capable of? And I'm pleased to say that they were very capable indeed. Really, really good event. Good actually undersells it. Great, an awesome event. The acts were absolutely superb. I love the fact that they introduced Vaporwave into the mix, so we got a true concoction of different genres. This, of course, invited an even larger crowd along, because not only have you got your Synthwave fans with your Vaporwave as well, so that gives people a chance to meet. We saw a lot of new faces, people that, you know, we sort of talked to on Twitter and things, saying, oh, yeah, one day I'll be at an event, and they were at this one, and that's great. So really, that's what I guess everyone's trying to encourage. You know, get off your computers, come out and see some live acts. It's the best way to support them. And yeah, you know, come to the next Future Sounds. You know, if this is anything to go by, the next one's going to be even better. I can only say well done to the guys for pulling it off, and for being such a success. So yeah, please do come down to the next one. You'll have an absolutely awesome time.